What if I told you that every time a Formula One car hits the track, it's essentially lighting millions of dollars on fire? These machines are faster than fighter jets on the corners, cost more than mansions to build, and regularly get destroyed, sometimes within seconds, all in the name of sport. Now imagine spending up to $400 million a year, knowing you probably won't even win a single race. Is this a billionaire's version of a high-stakes casino? Or is there a deeper, strategic reason behind investing in the world's most expensive sport? Today on Revved to Riches, we're diving under the carbon fiber skin of Formula One to reveal the true business engine that powers the sport. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the world where speed meets strategy. Let's rewind to May 19th, 1996, Monaco. Rain has just passed. Michael Schumacher sits on pole position, ready to dominate. But when the lights go out, all hell breaks loose. Within minutes, 3 cars crash. 5 laps in, 8 gone. By the end of this chaotic Grand Prix, only 3 cars are left on the track. And this mayhem is unfolding while owners and sponsors, whose logos are on the crumpled carbon fiber, sip champagne on their yachts, watching their investments become debris. Why would anyone willingly pour this much money into something so risky, volatile, and unpredictable? To find out, we've got to follow the money, starting with the Formula One Group itself. In 2024, the Formula One Group brought in a jaw-dropping $3.65 billion. That's before we even count the money going to or from teams. This is the revenue the F1 brand earns by simply being what it is, a global motorsports juggernaut. So where does that $3.65 billion come from? Well, just like a successful pit stop, the F1 business model has 4 key parts. First up, broadcasting. TV rights are F1's biggest cash cow, making up about 33% of total revenue. That's roughly $1.2 billion. Networks from all over the world pay big bucks to air these races. And now, with streaming on the rise, that number is only growing. Next, race hosting fees. This makes up about 29% of revenue. Countries pay F1 between $15 million and $60 million per year just to host a race. And thanks to government-backed mega events in the Middle East and Asia, that top number is only going higher. Then there's global sponsorship. Big brands like Aramco, Heineken, and Pirelli pay tens of millions to get their logos in front of the camera. This brings in another 15 to 20% of revenue. And finally, you've got everything else: hospitality packages, merchandise, licensing, and digital content like F1 TV. These are the cherry on top of an already massive money machine. But here's where things get interesting. Formula One doesn't keep all of that revenue. About 38%, roughly $1.2 billion in 2023, is distributed to the 10 teams, based on a contract called the Concorde Agreement. Now, you might think that means everyone gets a tenth of the pie. Nope. This is F1, and fairness isn't always the priority. The more successful your team, the bigger your slice. And legacy teams like Ferrari get bonuses just for being around the longest. So Ferrari or Mercedes could receive over $150 million, while smaller teams might only pocket $60 to $70 million. And in F1 terms, that's barely enough to keep the lights on. Before 2021, teams had no spending limit. So the biggest teams were free to blow through hundreds of millions in a relentless pursuit of performance. Top-tier budgets hit $400 to $500 million annually. Let's break down where that money goes. First, the car. F1 cars are essentially science fiction on wheels. Every single part is designed from scratch, tested, iterated, and often only built once. The engine alone, a turbo hybrid masterpiece, can cost up to $15 million per year, especially for customer teams like Haas, who buy theirs from Ferrari or Mercedes. Then, there's manpower. Top teams like Red Bull or Mercedes employ upwards of 1,200 people. Even smaller teams field 300 to 400 full-time staff. Add in travel costs across 24 races, worldwide logistics, freight, spare parts, simulator hours, factory upgrades, and you're burning through cash faster than a tire in Turn 1. And that's before we even talk about drivers. Rookies might earn $500,000 a year, but superstars like Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, they can pull in over $50 million annually. And that's not including bonuses or sponsorship deals. This spending war forced Formula One to introduce a historic budget cap in 2021, starting at $145 million and gradually reducing to $135 million by 2024. But, and this is a big but, that cap doesn't include driver salaries, the top 3 team executives, marketing, and a few other areas. That means big teams still have loopholes to maintain their edge, especially with infrastructure, simulators, and R&D. So how do smaller teams stay in the game? Take Haas, for example. When they joined in 2016, they chose a different model: outsource as much as legally possible. Instead of building every part, they purchased components from Ferrari, allowing them to run lean with under 250 employees. Teams like Williams have survived by making technical partnerships, attracting drivers with sponsorship money, and getting creative with budgets. But let's say I'm a billionaire who wants in. Can I just start a team? Not so fast. Before your car ever hits the grid, you'll need to pay a $200 million anti-dilution fee, basically a buy-in to protect the current team's revenue share. And that's only the beginning. Building facilities, hiring engineers, developing a car, securing an engine supplier, paying staff. The initial investment is close to $500 million, and you might not see meaningful prize money for at least 2 years. Just ask Andretti and Cadillac. Despite being racing royalty, their bid to join the grid has been stalled for years, facing enormous resistance and potentially being asked to pay a $450 million fee. This sport doesn't just guard the gates, it adds laser tripwires and electric fences. Formula One isn't just a sport. It's a global powerhouse of engineering, marketing, and money, where the margin between victory and failure is measured in milliseconds and millions. What looks like chaos on the track is actually the product of intricate business strategy, ruthless competition, and billionaire ambition. Whether it's leveraging sponsorships for massive brand exposure, navigating the politics of team ownership, or turning decades of R&D into revenue, F1 teams have evolved into some of the most fascinating business models in the world. So the next time you watch a car hit 200 miles per hour or crash into a wall, just remember, there's a billion-dollar empire behind that moment. Subscribe to Revved 2 Riches for more stories where speed meets business. And that's a wrap on today's topic.